One of our presenters is an amazing person. He is Commander John Herrington. He is the first Native American astronaut. He is Chickasaw, and he is going to tell you some wonderful stories and answer questions from some of our viewers.
All righty, so let's go some questions we have here. Isabel is a high school senior from Bella Vista, Arkansas. She says, how does going to space affect your views on spirituality? Oh, that's a great question. It made me feel really insignificant. And it really made me appreciate the beauty of what we have here and the value it is to protect it. So from a spiritual perspective, it's more not from maybe a religious perspective, more from an internal desire to protect and honor what we have. It really fundamentally changed my perspective on my place in the universe, my place on the earth. And that was a remarkable thing. I didn't expect that. It was pretty neat. Dylan, who's 6th grade, 11 years old, from Opelika, Alabama.
My name is Dylan Burgess, and I live in Alabama. Is there anything you hope to see in space?
Commander Herrington.
Commander Herrington.
He wants to know, was there anything specific you wanted to see in space? I wanted to look back at the Earth. I remember growing up watching on TV people going to the moon, and I thought what was most remarkable about that was the first time we actually looked back at the Earth from space, and I think it fundamentally changed our perspective on our place in the universe as well. These are great questions. Anna from Vinton, Virginia.
Do your ears pop as you're exiting Earth's atmosphere?
She says, do your ears pop as you exit Earth's atmosphere? It's a great question. There's a book called Do Your Ears Pop in Space by an astronaut named Mike Mullane. And he wrote a book on all the questions he's asked. And this is one of the questions and the title of his book. The reality is you're in the space shuttle, and the space shuttle has a controlled atmosphere, just like we have here on Earth. So as you climb to altitude, it stays on that same pressure so your ears don't pop. When you're in the spacesuit and you're going to do a spacewalk, and the pressure changes, your ears will you feel the pressure change in your ears as you go down in pressure in the suit, because when you go outside on a spacewalk, you don't have the same pressure against you that you have here on the Earth. Excellent questions. Jaden from Louisville, Mississippi.
My name is Jaden Hoskins. I'm 10 years old, and I attend Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. And my question is, what space food did you like the most?
Wants to know, what was your favorite space food? Chicken fajitas. We have what's called meals ready to eat. And it's the same thing that folks in the military would have. And it's in a little bag, and we heat it up in an oven. We also took fresh tortillas. The reason you take tortillas is because bread crumbles, cookies crumble, and you don't want to breathe in the crumbs. And so you take tortillas because they don't crumble. At least fresh ones don't. And I would take my chicken fajitas and I would put them on my tortilla and I'd roll it up and I would eat that. So my favorite one was chicken fajitas. I like spicy food. Let's see, what else do we have here? Boy, Chloe, this is a hard one, from Sulligent, Alabama.
Hey, Commander Harrington. I have a question. It's Chloe, by the way. When the Milky Way and the Andromeda collides, will we have more planets in our one solar system, or will we have multiple solar systems? Bye.
Asks, when the Milky Way and Andromeda collide, how old are you? This is great. You're 11 years old. This is a great question. When the Milky Way and Andromeda collide, will we have more planets in our solar system, or will we have two solar systems? Boy, that's a great question. I have no idea. At what point in time the two galaxies collide, I can't tell you. I have no idea. I'm not an astrophysicist, but maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson can answer that question for you. I'm sorry, I can't. So Lucy Dene from Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Hi, my name is Lucy King. I have a question for you. How does it feel like to be in space? I was wondering what it felt like to be in space.
Wants to know, what does it feel like to be in space? It is every kid's dream. Imagine being your own little spaceship. and being able to fly, like my hand disappeared, fly across the room and float from one corner to the next. And you can do that. And I dreamed about that as a kid, and I actually had a chance to do that in space. Great questions. Wesley is also Danae from Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Hello, my name is Wesley King, and I have a question for you. Have you ever seen a shooting star in space?
He asks, have you ever seen a shooting star in outer space? As a matter of fact, I have. You see what we call shooting stars, not really a star, but a piece of debris coming into the Earth's atmosphere. And when it comes in really fast, it heats up. Just like when the space shuttle comes back, it hits the atmosphere and it heats up and it glows. Well, the things that hit our atmosphere, they glow and they burn up. The small ones do. And the neat thing is it's not above you, like you'd see it here on the Earth. It's below you because the atmosphere is below the space shuttle. So I would see what we call shooting stars or debris going into the atmosphere below us. That was pretty cool to watch. Let's see here. Will, also from Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Hello, my name is William King, and I've got a question for you. Does being in outer space feel like swimming underwater?
Wants to know, does being in space feel like being underwater? Excellent question. We actually trained to do our spacewalks in a large pool in Houston, Texas, called the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. What's that mean? Well, you're neutrally buoyant. That means you float. In space, you're floating. Gravity's pulling you back to Earth, but we're going around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour. So as gravity pulls us back, the Earth falls away, you're in this constant free fall. So you're floating. So they train you in a pool by floating. They get you neutrally buoyant. They put little foam rubber things on you and weights, and they get you balanced, and then you float underwater. The difference being is that the water acts against you, and it slows you down. In space, there is no water, there's no atmosphere, and so you move really fast, and there's nothing to slow you down. What we would say during spacewalks, slower is faster. Move very slow, move very deliberately, because if you move too fast, you'll get out of control. So yes, it does a little bit feel like being underwater. Let's see, Madeline from Pinson, Alabama.
Hi, Commander Herrington. My name is Madeline. I'd like to work with NASA one day. My question is, did you get to drive the spaceship? If not, what was your role on the mission?
Asked, did you drive or fly the spaceship? If not, what was your role on the mission? I'm a naval aviator. I was a pilot in the Navy, but I was a mission specialist with NASA. So that means I did not pilot the space shuttle, but I got to be what's called a flight engineer. I sat on the flight deck with the commander and the pilot, but I got to walk in space. I had the best job in the astronaut office. I was not a pilot on the shuttle, but I was a pilot in the jet. I got to fly the NASA jet, and then I got to walk in space. So I was very, very fortunate. Here's some great questions. Talia from Louisville, Mississippi.
My name is Talia Cole. I am 10 years old and I attend Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. My question is, what was the duration time of your space flight?
Wants to know, what was the duration of your space flight? I was in space for just under 2 weeks, a little over 13 days, almost 14 days. I spent about 7 days docked to the International Space Station. 3 of those days I did spacewalks. I spent about 20 hours outside the space station doing spacewalks. Matter of fact, that guy right behind me in that white suit, that's me on top of the International Space Station. Had a great time. Let's see, Ashton from Vinegar Bend, Alabama.
Hi, Commander Herrington. I am Ashton Dees. I'm 11 years old, and I live in Vinegar Bend, Alabama. And my question is, what is the scariest thing you've ever seen in space?
What is the scariest thing you have ever seen in space? Well, I saw a little teeny piece of damage to the window on the hatch. I was sitting there looking out the window one day and I saw this little teeny crater. Something had hit the window on the side of the space shuttle and left a little teeny crater. And I don't know if it was a piece of sand or something in space hit the shuttle and left this little teeny mark. If you can imagine, it was probably just the tiniest little thing going really, really fast. If it had been the size of a BB or been the size of a rock, it would have gone right through that window, and that would have been a really bad, we call those bad days. Those are bad days. Bryson, also from Vinegar Bend, Alabama, wants to know.
Hi, Commander Herrington. My name is Bryson Dees. I'm 8 years old. I live in Vinegar Bend, Alabama, and my question is, how do you bathe in space?
How do you bathe in space? Well, you don't have a shower on the space shuttle. What we would do, we had have an oven that has a water spigot on it, and we would take a washcloth and we would squirt water onto this washcloth, and then we would actually just wipe that on our bodies. But we also had a bag that had powdered soap in it, and we would fill that bag with warm water, and then we would squirt the water out of the bag. It would hit, either squirt it on your skin or squirt it on the washcloth, and then just wipe it down. We didn't have a shower or a bathtub or anything like that. Let's see here. Let's see. Abby from Philadelphia, Mississippi wants to know.
Hi, my name is Abby Krill, and I am 10 years old, and I attend Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. And my question for Commander Herrington is, will you please explain the Artemis mission?
Can you please explain the Artemis mission? Well, since I don't work at NASA, I don't know the details behind the Artemis mission, but I do know that there's a plan in place. They're working towards going back to the moon, hopefully in a few years, and going on to Mars. But the Artemis mission is specifically going to back to the moon and to inhabit the moon. But the details behind that, I'm sorry, I can't answer for you. Let's see here. Maddie from Philadelphia, Mississippi. I've been to Philadelphia. Yay.
My name is Matt Aguirre. I am 10 years old. I attend Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. My question is, are scientists close to discovering a new planet?
Are scientists close to discovering a new planet? Well, as a matter of fact, they've discovered a lot of planets out there. We have a couple ways to do that. We have telescopes that look at stars out in the universe, and they watch the light from those stars. And as that light shifts, as a planet orbits that star, the gravity interaction between the two causes that star to wobble just a little bit. And when it wobbles just a little bit, it changes the light that's coming at the telescope, and it changes how that light looks. And scientists can look at that light and determine how the periodic that shift is. They can determine there's planets surrounding those stars. So I think, what did I read? I read that for every grain of sand on the surface of the earth, they believe there's a star in the visible universe. That's a lot of stars. And we know there are planets around stars. So you can imagine for every star, there's probably multiple planets. So, but we do know there are planets around other stars. Let's see here. Do you think, Carlisle from Philadelphia, Mississippi.
My name is Carlisle, and I'm from Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. And my question for Commander Herrington is, do you think people will live on another planet, and if so, when?
Do you think we will ever discover life on another planet? If so, when? Going back to my previous question, the previous answer, I believe life exists in the universe because the probability is so great, given there are so many stars out there. And when we will discover that, I don't know. We may discover, they believe that there may be evidence of life on Venus, just in the constituents in an atmosphere. I don't know. I think there's a fundamental question that we've all asked. Are we alone in the universe? I don't believe we are. I believe life exists out there, but I don't believe it's come here in a flying saucer and hidden from us. I'm very skeptical about that, but I believe life exists in the universe because we're here. If we're here and we can grow and evolve on this planet, why can't something else on another planet that has the same constituents, same stuff in its atmosphere, that life can flourish? I think the probability is pretty darn good. See, boy, what do we have here? Cherish from Philadelphia, Mississippi.
My name is Cherish McCallum. I am 11 years old and I attend Philadelphia Elementary School in Mississippi. My question is, what are some things you do to prepare for outer space?
What are some of the things you do to prepare for outer space? Well, a lot of things. You have to do a lot of simulators. You have to fly in the space shuttle simulator when I flew and do multiple emergencies, all the things that can go wrong that they can possibly think about. You have to be able to solve those emergencies going uphill, as we say, going into space and coming down. And then once in space, I trained in the pool to do my spacewalks. You train how to transfer cargo. You learn how the systems on the space shuttle work. You learn about systems on the space station. It's imagine for 2 years training to do a 2-week trip in space. I trained for about 2.5 years for the 2 weeks I spent in space, and a lot of hard work. For every hour of spacewalk, I trained about 7 to 10 hours underwater in the pool, and I did about 20 hours of spacewalk, and so probably about 200 hours or so, roughly, of being in the pool. Let's see here. Alexandria from Bentonville, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Alexandria Jones. I'm 15 years old, a sophomore at Arkansas Arts Academy in Rogers, Arkansas. My question is for Commander Herrington. It's crazy that you went on 3 spacewalks, so was it exciting or terrifying or a little bit of both?
Wants to know how terrifying, exciting is a spacewalk. Well, the best thing I've ever done professionally is to walk in space. And you're not really walking. You're actually kind of space crawling because you don't use your feet. You use your hands, and you move along the space station very, very deliberately. And if you let go, make sure you're tethered so you don't float away and go off into the vastness of space. The first time I came out, I realized it was about 220 miles straight down to the earth. So I held on kind of tight for a little bit. But you realize the tighter you hold on, the more tired you're going to get. And so you don't want to do that. You just hang on real loosely and do your job. Great questions. Let's see here. What else do we have?
I'm Axton Jones, and I'm 12 years old, and I'm in 7th grade at Arkansas Arts Academy from Rogers, Arkansas. And from my question for Commander Herrington is, how close can an unmanned spaceship get to the sun without burning up?
Wow. Axton from Bentonville, Arkansas. How far can an unmanned spacecraft travel towards the sun before it burns up? I have no idea. A great question. Things, different metals melt at different temperatures. Aluminum melts at like 300 or 400, I think. So it depends on how close you get to the sun. So, but you can't go at night because the sun's always shining. There we go. How many moons? Savannah.
Hello, I'm Savannah. I'm 11 years old. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Arkansas Arts Academy. I was wondering, how many moons are there in the Milky Way?
From Rogers, Arkansas. Also, how many moons are there in the Milky Way? Savannah, I'm sorry. I have no idea. We know the moons. I was looking through a telescope one day with a young man I was in Moab, Utah. We had a telescope and we were filming a movie. And when the sun finally went down, I saw a really bright light in the sky. And so I looked at it and I realized it was Jupiter. And I could see 4 moons around Jupiter in the telescope. And I showed it to the young man, and he went nuts. He's like, Mom, there's like 4 moons, and I can see them around Jupiter. That's incredible. But how many moons in the Milky Way? I have no idea. But I've actually seen moons around another planet besides our own. Let's see.
My name is Alex, and I'm in 3rd grade at Arkansas Arts Academy, and I'm 8. I have a question about why is Saturn the only planet with rings?
Alex from Rogers, Arkansas. Why is Saturn the only planet with rings? That's a great question. I think there's another planet in the solar system that has rings. I don't know if it's Uranus. It's just debris that is coalescing or going around the planet that hasn't coalesced into something like our moon. We believe, scientists believe, that the moon is a result of something hitting the Earth years ago, many, many years ago, and kicking off a big chunk of it, and then that maintains its orbit around the Earth. So I believe there are other. I believe one of the other planets in the solar system has some rings around it, but not quite to the extent that Saturn does. But I may be wrong. So let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
Hi, my name is Brandon, and I am in 4th grade, and I go to Arkansas Arts Academy. I was wondering where the most radiated planet is, like if it's Jupiter, Venus, or where the most radiation is at. And also, if we are the only one out there, if you found any aliens, or if there's a different universe, like besides the Milky Way. Thanks for listening to me.
Brandon from Rogers, Arkansas wants to know what planet has the most radiation in our solar system. Well, I'd like to think it's the one closest to the sun. It's bathed in a lot closer than we are. But all the planets in the solar system get radiation to some extent. We get it here on the Earth. When I did my spacewalks, I wore 3 little items on my suit, one on my head, one on my chest, and one on my lower legs that measured the amount of radiation that I received doing a spacewalk because I wasn't shielded by the space shuttle or space station. About equivalent to like getting X-ray, I guess, something like that, living at a high altitude for a long time. Let's see. Madison.
Hi, my name is Madison Bolte. I'm 15. I'm a sophomore at Arkansas Arts Academy High School in Rogers, Arkansas. And my question is, what's the consistency of the moon? Is it all just one rock?
From Rogers, Arkansas, wants to know, what is the moon made of? Or is it all just one big rock? Well, that is a big rock. They believe the ones that came back were basalt, volcanic type of rock like we have here on the Earth, similar to us. Neat thing about that is one of the guys that went to the moon was named Harrison Schmitt, and Harrison Schmitt was a geologist. So that was pretty cool that we sent an actual geologist to the moon on the last Apollo mission, Apollo 17, with Gene Cernan. These are excellent questions. Here's a good one from Leslie from Rogers, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Leslie Diaz. I'm 17, grade 11. I go to Arkansas Arts Academy in Rogers, Arkansas. And my question for you, how does your heritage and your growing up affect your values that you play in your everyday life? And how does that affect your big missions with NASA?
How does your heritage as Native American affect your values in your everyday life or during your mission to space? That's an excellent question, Leslie. What I like to think is that my ancestors gave me the opportunity to walk the surface of the Earth and then to fly above it in space. And I'm very proud of the fact that they made some really tough decisions that allowed them to survive in very hostile environments sometimes, that gave me the opportunity to do something unique and to be able to fly in space. And so I'm very proud of what my ancestors did to give me the opportunity. And I think we should all be proud of that. One of the things that I like to tell students that I talk to is that as Native Americans, we're natural scientists and engineers. We have, we built structures, and we observed the sky, and we conducted astronomy, and we did all kinds of things. We're biologists and botanists and engineers because we built structures that survive to this day. my tribe came from an area out in around Moundville, Alabama, that built these huge earthen mounds by hand that are very, very symmetric, and it took a lot of thought and a lot of hard work. And so as Native people, we're natural scientists and engineers. We're problem solvers, and I think that's great. And I'm honored that my family allowed me the chance to do that. So these are excellent questions. Thank you guys so much. Keep asking questions, keep asking your teachers, ask your parents, and hope you'll learn the answers. So best of luck to all of you. Thank you so much. These were great. Yay. Good job.